Welcome back to the podcast. It is a good day to talk about some shooting. As always, I'm really excited to be here because any day that we can sit down, we can talk about some innovative stuff in the industry, some stuff that's making significant impact is a good day for us. Today, we have two guests on. We have Daniel and we have Trent on. It says, I almost called you Southpaw on. But we have Outdoorsman. And today we are talking about accuracy solutions. Daniel, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Trent?
Good. Thanks for having me on as well.
Man, you look so familiar. It's like we were talking about something else not that long ago. So crazy. But you got your hands on a lot of stuff, which is great to see. But today we're focusing on accuracy solutions. I'm really excited because Trent and I had sort of talked about this in the past. That I remember when you guys launched, your guys' first system. I remember it coming to the BipodeXt, coming out and being like, "What is that? Like, why? Like, what is this thing? Like, why does it look so much different than anything we're seeing?" And then also, like, it just sort of made sense. Like, maybe it was the marketing was really good or the language around it was really good. But I was like, yeah, that makes total sense. Of course, that would work, right? Why don't we talk a little bit before we jump into that? Let's talk a little bit about the company, Daniel. Sort of you bringing this company to market and things like that, and then we'll sort of jump into some of the products. So, can you tell us a bit about the company as a whole?
I can, and I'd do a better job if I wasn't distracted here for a second, but I think they got it. I think they're not going to
Okay.
walk in anymore this afternoon. Um, the company itself, we started this idea came about May 2016. I can remember what happened because after years and years of not shooting a long gun or a rifle anyway, I went back shooting, and that's when I realized what time can do to a man, right? So I came
Sure.
back extremely frustrated with myself. What happened here? I can't even really shoot anymore. And I'll try to make a long story short, man. If you want more details, I'm happy to give them to you, okay? But that same night, we're watching a movie with my wife, and a shooter pulls up a gun, a long gun, and he's resting the gun on a low wall. And I'm seeing the guy aiming that way, and I'm going like, he's got a teeter-totter right there. However much he's going to move on his buttstock, that's
Mm-hmm.
going to happen at the muzzle. And maybe that's what happened to me all morning.
Mm-hmm.
And it really bothered me throughout the movie. And before the movie was over, I said, of course, I'm sure the guys these days have some kind of extending thing, and I'm gonna go to Walmart tomorrow, and I'm sure there'll be four different models hanging out there, and I'm gonna pick the one that'll be right for me. So about a month later, I think I reached the end of the internet, and I couldn't find it. So at that time, I called my patent lawyer. Daniel is his name as well. Daniel had obtained the patent for me many, many years ago in a completely different space. And I told him about what I was thinking, and he thought I was crazy. He said, it's so obvious, you're not going to be able to patent that. I said, I agree with the obvious part, but I'm telling you, Danny, I reached the end of the internet, and it's not there. Um, The patent examiner also thought we were crazy. It took a long while to educate her really on things, I mean, even right down to the barrel must be left alone. No, that machine gun you found from 1913 or whatever that had a bipod attached to the barrel is not what we're talking about here. So it was a bit of an uphill battle. But yeah, the company was founded a few months after. We founded the company in September 2016, did about a year and a half of research and development, did a very, very limited release at the end of 2017, incorporated feedback that we got then, and it was SHOT Show 2018 when we first really showed up and said, okay, guys, we're here to play with you. Please allow us. That's in a nutshell, man. And of course, from there, you tell me what else you like to know.
So, well, one of the things that I think sort of made me laugh a little bit is you're watching this movie, right? And I think anybody who's in any of the firearm industry, but particularly long gun, and I always sort of had this thought about military snipers as well. When they watch these movies, they much just cringe at like the way they're shooting, how they're shooting. I'm like, you're not gonna dial at all, or you're like you're just gonna send that down. You have no clue, right? So it's funny, that was sort of the inception of this, and what sort of led you to sort of develop that. And on the other end, I started researching like the rifle that I wanted to build probably around 2014, 2015, which is why it was probably so fresh in my mind around when you were launching 16, 17. Because I remember just thinking, like, okay, like any new shooter doesn't really know what they're doing. Like, what do I need to be the best? What do I want to do to shoot far? And Trent and I had talked about this one time. My first initial thing that I wanted to build was the Chai Tech because it was like, it was sexy looking, right? I was like, oh, I didn't know that there were disciplines. I didn't know I just want to build something and shoot it. So I remember seeing this, right? And when you went to SHOT Show, what was the sort of feeling around the product?
I have to say that we encountered less rejection than I was anticipating. As you know, our crowd, our space is filled with guys that got very firm ideas, right?
Mm-hmm.
And many of them don't really like to get out of whatever you want to call it, that set of beliefs, right? But when the visitors would give you 2 minutes, not even 1 minute, I think we had some success with the phrase radical geometry alteration. And that makes people go, what did you just say? Okay, I know it's not that common, but I know you can follow us. Let's do that again. Radical geometric alteration to the shooting platform. In other words, the teeter-totter now no longer has the fulcrum on the center. It's got it way at one end. We use it. We say we use the law of the lever on the inverse, backwards. But I think it was the following year that we came out with that laser display. I don't know if you ever seen that. The two
I'm not
guns.
sure.
Okay, there are a couple of videos out there. We had two guns mounting on a cam system, going up and down equally, and we mounted a little laser pointed on top of them, and just pointing to a target that was just a few feet away. But one rifle, these were blue guns out there in a SHOT Show. One gun was mounted on a BipodeXt, the other one had the Bipo where we typically mount the Bipo. And the lasers do this. One moves up and down, whatever much, I don't remember now, an inch or two in each direction, and the one miner on the BipodeXt is barely moving. And the guns are riding on the same cam system. Everybody can see, everybody can tell, they can get by it. And yes, it made people scratch their head, going like, okay, some of them wouldn't even get it when looking at it. Some will go, yes, Eureka, of course. Let me say this. Can I say something very silly for your audience?
Sure.
This is going to be extremely silly, okay? Leave everything else out of the equation. Operate with me in a vacuum here for a moment. Just for a moment, do something really silly with me. Imagine you can extend your bipod all the way to a target. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking out there at 1,000 yards. Your bipod is at 1,000 yards standing right next to a target. You could be jumping up and down 20 feet in the air when you pull the trigger. The only thing that is going to change is the angle at which the bullet hits the plate. You're going to
Mm-hmm.
hit the plate. Of course, we're operating in a vacuum, right? We're not talking bullet drop. We're not talking wind. We're just talking the geometry of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not very practical. We're not going to have a bipod sitting at 1,000 yards, and we don't have to. This relatively minor improvement, a foot and a half, depending on the model you're running, makes a lot of difference.
Mm. And Trent, what was your first experience with this product? Was it on getting the full build, or had you seen this before and maybe it was a moment for you as well? You thought this makes a lot of sense?
Yeah, so it kind of came out around the same time as I started getting the ELR. I just had a rifle and a little cheap Harris bipod on the front of it, trying to figure out, shooting, and then I see some of these other guys running these tubes, and I'm confused, like, what in the world are they? Looking around, I'm like, they look cool, but what do they do? And I talked to a few guys about it, and I'm like, man, that sounds really, really nice. Then got into talking with another person that's involved with the company, and was, wow, like that. I really, really want one of those. Got to talking to him a lot more, and next thing you know, this chassis shows up on my door, and I'm like, wow, I can easily upgrade this. Took my barreled action right out of the stock that's hanging up there behind me,
Mm-hmm.
and put it right into the fast chassis, and was like, wow, this made a huge difference for me. I was always finishing mid to lower pack. Didn't have the best bipod, was jumping around a whole bunch, moving around, and just the science behind it, and the lever and the fulcrum point moving it out there. Just simply taking the exact same barreled action, dropping it into one of these chassis with the BipodeXt incorporated into it, my hit percentage skyrocketed. It made a world of difference to me. Helped me so much. Helped my confidence. More impacts. Just helped. That was kind of the beginning of the real growth of me and ELR.
Yeah, we don't often talk. I mean, at least I don't often hear people talk about like the mental part of what we're doing, right? And the trust that we have in a product that allows us to be more competitive and now allows us to focus on a different component of our competing, right? There's so many little things that go into this and it's compounding, compounding, compounding. And when you don't have the right equipment, right, it's like not having the right tool, it feels really, really difficult and it feels like you're trying to balance so many things. So it's cool to hear that, this invention, right? I mean, we'll talk about the chassis systems because those were another like what am I looking at right now sort of thing. But that invention itself, right, to me made a ton of sense. The pivoting point made a lot of sense. Also, it felt like really similar to what bench rest and F class was doing with having a system so much further forward. Obviously, that's not the same thing, but generally, that's sort of I was like, okay, like that makes a lot of sense to me. Having that go out and that balance point. So Dan, you're at SHOT Show. It's getting relatively good reception, right? How do things sort of move forward from there for you?
At the speed of light, we were extremely lucky. I can't even describe how lucky. So we're getting ready to go to the show, 2018. And we get an email, I get an email from Eduardo Abril de Fontcuberta.
Great name.
Great name, right?
Great name.
And Eduardo is such a nice person. He takes the time to introduce himself and explain to me who he is. And I'm laughing, right? I'm thinking, who does not know Eduardo and is in this space? How do you? Well, I shouldn't say that. I mean, I'm sure there are people that probably don't know about him. But anyway, you get what I'm saying. Eduardo
Mhm.
is known as the creator of the King of 2 Miles, multiple time 50 call international champion. I mean, his pedigree is out of this world. And I'm getting a little bit of goosebumps because Eduardo Foncoberta says to me, this is the greatest invention for rifles since rifles were invented. And if you will want me to, I'll help you build it right into the chassis.
Mm.
At the time, we only had the detachable BipodeXt. And I said, of course. And he says, so, oh, you're going to be a shot show? I'll meet you there. He showed up. We hugged as if we had known each other all our life. And we went to work. I got something right here, and I don't know if I should get up and get it, but well, you know what? That thing
You can.
almost faded. It's a shame. You guys are not going to be able to see this. Hang on a second. Let me wipe it out. It's been sitting there. I never hang it because I'm relocating my office within this shop. This was the cover of one of the magazines that they give you out daily out there at Shot.
Mm-hmm.
You guys can't see it, but there are scribbles here that unfortunately faded with time. But in this magazine, and this is the original, in this magazine, Eduardo sketched out the tubes built into the chassis. So
Wow.
I'll never let go of this thing.
Mm.
And at the same time, he introduced us to Mr. McCree from McCree Precision. And McCree and I went to work. McCree and my team, I shouldn't say just I, the guys that I had helping at the time, great guys, by the way, great people. Specifically, Seth Cobbs. I want to mention that guy. He helped a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And in about a year, no, less than a year, because this was shot, which is at the time it was, I forget, late January, early February, right? Always around those dates. And we showed up with the first fast chassis at King of 2 Mile, which takes, at the time, used to take place on 4th of July weekend.
Mm.
So we developed the first prototype in about 6 months.
Wow.
And it turned out to be pretty close to what the final product was. Of course, we made changes from the prototype. But the reason I said at the speed of light is because Eduardo embraced us. And that was really good for us because people at least were intrigued. So,
Mm-hmm.
if Eduardo likes this thing, I need to at least look into it, right? Whereas otherwise, without being handheld by someone such as Eduardo, it probably would have taken us
Mm.
10 times longer. Is my guess.
Yeah.
So, yes, extremely lucky, very, very grateful to a lot of people, really, and my buddy Eduardo in particular. And that's it. I don't know. You tell me what else you like to hear.
Well, it's funny, when you talk about an ambassador for, your products, right? Um, this will be a little divergent from, your company and things like that. But generally, especially looking at someone like Trent, who I think is really holding true to the mission of what you guys are trying to do. is doing a really great job of presenting the product. Obviously, he's on the podcast right now, helping out, right? So, those sort of things are really cool to see. And you're right; it could take you a very long way. So, this is sort of an inspiring story from, I would imagine, the standpoint of someone like myself and Trent, who sort of are in those capacities of representing companies and doing our best to get the mission out there and get the voice out there of these products, and then to see an owner be so appreciative of that and then understand the sort of impact that can make is really cool to see. That first chassis, the fast one, that's what you built on, Trent?
Yeah, that's the first. I bought a stock gun off the shelf, and then
Mm-hmm.
that was the first upgrade I ever did. Was straight to the fast chassis. Shot with Scott McCree at a match. He really helped me figure it out, adjust it, get it set up exactly how it fit me. Worked well, shot well. Yeah, that was the first major upgrade, and it made a huge difference in how I shot. And I've never shot an ELR rifle without a fast chassis or a BipodeXt since, and you'll
Mm-hmm.
probably never catch me not using it. It just works.
Yeah, and I love to hear that. And so the that first initial setup had a lot of modularity to it, right?
Hmm.
Can you tell us a bit about that?
The first fast chassis were collaborative efforts, first between Accuracy and McCree Precision, and then over the last couple of years, also another friend came on board on the program, with the program, um, Mr. Joe Updike, the owner of Accuracy Rifle Systems, another chassis maker. And the collaboration was as follows. We will build the forend together with the BipodeXt tubes and technology, all comprised inside the forend, and they will build the rest of the chassis,
Mm.
and they'll attach our forend to it and do final assembly, quality control, and shipping. So the earlier fasts are not monolithic. There are two parts. The action area and the forend are two separate parts that get bolted on together. And they were made from aluminum. And we did that until last year, really, until 2024, when we were fortunate enough to acquire McCree Precision. So when that happened, we were again lucky enough to bring in about a quarter of a century of experience and knowledge and know-how and all of the things that Mr. McCree accumulated for that length of time, because Scott McCree is considered by many the grandfather of the aluminum chassis.
Hmm.
He was like one of the very, very first, if not the first guy, I'm not sure. But if not the first, one of the first coming out with aluminum chassis.
Mm.
So when we acquired McCree, we said, okay, now we got this technology in addition to our technology. It's about time we married these two and see what we can come up with. And that's how the Orca fast chassis was born. In the midst of all of this, our friends at Alamo Rifles, Alamo Precision Rifles, in particular Robert Wagner, is talking to us. They're running with our BipodeXt. They're happy with them, but of course they're looking at maybe a chassis. And then Robert one day pulls me apart and says, why we don't shoot your chassis? No, why? Because we don't like aluminum. We'll never shoot an aluminum chassis. Said, okay, what can I do about that? And that's when Robert said, have you ever heard of G10, also known as micarta? No idea what you're talking about, Robert. What's that? And he said, look up foundation stocks. And I did. Oh, light bulb went on again. I said, no, of course, after reading and YouTubing, right, watching interviews and guys. And then in one trip to Texas, Robert lends me a micarta foundation stock for a short action. And I came here and I put my 308 on it and I went shooting it and I thought I was shooting my 22. And I said, what is this thing? It's a dead material. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not smart enough to or eloquent enough to describe what happens with it. All I can tell you is it's a dead material. It's got no resonance to it. It absorbs the recoil. It eats it for breakfast. I don't know how it happens. Once again, you need a scientist to explain to you what happens. I'm not a scientist.
Mm-hmm.
So that was how the micarta chassis was born. We said,
Wow,
okay.
that's really cool. I have a quick question, right? I want to talk about the Orca. I want to talk about that progression. I do have a question about, right? You guys decide to build this product into the chassis. Did you guys see noticeable improvement from having it built into the chassis versus it just attaching to the chassis, or was it more of a simplicity and ease thing?
Now, I'll let the professional shooter here amplify, but I'm going to give you my perspective on it. Naturally, keeping the attachment point of the bipod so close to the barrel as it happens with the chassis is an unbeatable setup. Let me see if I can explain that better. Our BipodeXt products work very well, but they work even way better when shooters attach what we call the Queen's equalizer bracket. I don't know if you've seen that little bracket that gets installed on the front of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because what happens when you mount the rifle on a BipodeXt, you are elevating the center of gravity of the rifle, and you are increasing the distance between your barrel and the bipod attachment point. Well, the Queen's equalizer bracket brings that back into where it was. It gets the bipod close to the barrel. In the fast chassis, that doesn't happen. I don't know if you can see that setup in the back right there.
A little bit, just the front.
Yeah, but that is how close it is.
Mm-hmm.
The bipod attached to
Mm-hmm.
the tubes to the barrel naturally without
Mm-hmm.
the Queen's bracket. So I think the guns behaves better. I think you get more of the recoil naturally and linearly and straight onto you without any path deviations, so to speak, and
Mm-hmm.
forces. Uh, that's my personal opinion, but I really like a several times winner of competitions here to elaborate on that.
What do you think, Trent?
Yeah, so both of them work very, very well. I like having the Bipod XT standalone sometimes because I can put it on any rifle. I can grab it. All of my rifles have pick rails on the front, slap it on any rifle, ready to roll. I do like it incorporated into the chassis a lot more. Keeps my center of gravity lower, keeps that recoil going straight back into me when I'm laying prone. I like to be as low to the ground as possibly can and keep everything, I don't like a big pile of mats on the front. If I don't, everything is low, solid, just like think of it as like a rail gun coming straight back into me. Everything tracked perfectly straight back. I mean, the micarta absorbs a lot of it, and the Mako chassis. I really, really, really enjoy having it directly incorporated, and it just looks freaking awesome. I mean, you look at that chassis, and it's an eye catcher. I use it all the time. People are like, "What in the world is that?" And it draws them in. So, just it's an all around. Both of them are amazing products, and just one allows you to put it on any rifle, and the one's incorporated in.
Okay. Yeah, it is really, really cool looking. And why don't we sort of jump into the Orca, right? You guys are using this newish, and some people may be using it, but this new material, right? Essentially, almost reminds me of like how a lot of systems use dampeners, right? but instead of adding the dampeners, it's in the actual chassis material, which is really, innovative. What was that sort of bringing that Orca to market? What was that like? And can you guys touch a bit about like who's this made for? Right? What is this chassis, the discipline, the caliber that this is really made for?
Take it away, Trent. Or I do that. Your choice.
Yeah, I could explain a little bit. The the overall the products are made for long range shooting, but you can hit it on any rifle and make it help you increase your accuracy. So whether you're shooting 100 yards or you're shooting 2 miles, the product will help you get more stable. I've seen them on all the way down to tricked out little 22s with them. I think I saw actually a pistol, or I would call it a small carbine pistol, with one clipped on the front of it, and was like, "What in the world? That thing looks so weird." And down
Mhm.
at the NRA Whittington Center, they put it out, little 9 millimeter. We were shooting 400-yard target with it, and I'm like, okay, I guess it's not limited just rifles. Like this thing is super neat. I mean, the primary target audience is long range target shooters, but I'm seeing it grow more and more. I'm seeing some PRS guys grab them now, lean into them a little more. The NRL hunter community, that's one of my favorite things. Is I use the BipodeXt on my hunting rifles, not just my competition rifles, because I am a long range hunter and it helps me make more ethical shots. You know, it's not a piece of steel out there I'm shooting, so I want to make the most accurate and ethical shot as I can, and it helps me extend my distance a little bit. And then even at the closer distances, makes me so much more stable to have much more confidence in that shot.
And then that's for the Bipod XT, right?
Yep, the BipodeXt. This one is the small one that I put right on my hunting rifles and then move it between all of them. So it's amazing.
Okay.
I love it. It's small, made of carbon fiber, lightweight too. So
And what about the Orca, right? Who's that really directed to?
The
yeah,
Orca.
so go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
Daniel.
Go ahead.
You
Go ahead. You're doing great. I'm not going to interrupt.
Yeah, so the Orca, it's made for the same community and stuff. A lot of people are. I've had the aluminum one and I've had the micarta one, and I've shot them side by side, same caliber, same everything. Just the difference between the two of shooting the aluminum versus the micarta, and getting people behind the rifle to feel the micarta. We have a lot of people that are interested, in upgrading. They want to go from the aluminum to the micarta, and then a lot of people when they hear, okay, it's easier recoil. We're all shooting big rifles. Most of us, are heavier recoil rifles. If I
Hmm.
can put you in a chassis that absorbs some of that recoil or felt recoil and helps you keep on target, you're not getting beat up by the gun back there. It's gonna make the shooting experience overall more pleasant and just help your accuracy as well.
I like and the mostly magnums. Is that what we're mostly shooting out of the Orca then?
The Orca family is broken down into three chassis sizes.
Okay.
So in the middle is the baby Orca, and that is for actions going from 1350 diameter to 1.6. Above that, we have the Mama Orca for actions that are over 1.6 up to 2 inches. On the other side of the spectrum is the little Mako. The Mako is for short actions or even long actions, but maximum action size 1.35. So let me present that a hopefully better organized way. The small chassis is the Mako, and it's for actions up to 1.35 inches
Hmm.
in diameter. In the middle is the baby Orca, 1.35 up to 1.6 inches diameter. And then the Mama Orca,
Hmm.
1.6 to 2 inches, which is your typical 50 cal action, right?
Hmm.
So that is the line as it is today. And the Mako, the lighter chassis, is meant for smaller calibers It's a lighter chassis. It weighs a couple pounds less than the baby Orca. And it really can be used in a number of disciplines. Many of its features are useful for long-range shooters, uh, above your typical PRS shooter, which is not going to use, say, an adjustable foot. Hardly ever. If they ever do that, I never seen one doing that. But that is our line of chassis right now. And of course,
So
we're working on other things, but that's what's available today.
so 2018 the Orca comes out, is that right?
No, no, the Orca was timidly released at the end of 2024.
Oh, so much sooner, much sooner. Yeah.
Right, the
So that
Orca,
was the fast. The
which
fast was
is
released then.
because the Orca is our chassis, is made, designed and made by Accuracy Solutions. We had fast chassis out there before since 2019, 2019, 2020. End of 19, beginning of 20 is when we released the first aluminum fast chassis. But again, at the time, the actual chassis were made either by McCree Precision, and a few years later, still by McCree and by Accurate Rifle Systems. But those were not Accuracy Solutions chassis. Accuracy Solutions chassis were born after we acquired McCree Precision, which happened in January 2024.
I
And it
got
took
you.
us most of 2024 to develop this line of chassis. It was a lot of work. But if you go to our website now, you see that we make the chassis available for over 170 different action models. Many of them are Remington clones, but still. And we're adding more. We're adding more actions that are not there yet. I can't say to you that we'll have them all because I think that's pretty near impossible. But once I wrote to a customer, we were exchanging a nice series of emails. And at the end, I said, look, if it were up to me, if I didn't have to worry about money and such, I'll make a chassis for every action there is on the planet. But I do need to worry about keeping the lights on. And so needs the rest of the team worry about keeping the lights on. So we're trying to balance it. We're trying to release chassis according to priority of demand from the market, right?
So Trent and I talked about that a little bit. How I was like, "Wow, you guys offer a lot of different actions on this," which I don't think is like super. Is not super common, right? There's a lot of time, money, and effort that goes into having these inlets for these systems. So generally, very, very impressed that that's there. I think for most shooters, if you have an action, you can probably go on there and find a way to integrate this into your system, which is really nice, right? And we won't get too much into the betting or the polls and things like that we were talking about, but generally, that's a really like innovative thing as well, right? I mean, you guys are doing a lot of things, I think, to try to spread out within the community, to try to make it multidisciplinary, which to me is really important, that you can take this item and that you can use it in different types of competitions and go have fun. And maybe it isn't the exact thing that you want, but at least you can do it. Because I know for me, when I went from PRS to F class, right, I shot on a bipod for years, right, until I decided that just wasn't going to work for me and I needed to upgrade. But, you know, I for a long time, I did think about using your guys' system as well. And so there's a lot of really great things there. I want to talk a little bit about the overarching design and some of the unique characteristics of these systems that you have, and sort of starting at the back, right? Your guys' butt is really nice. The adjustability through it, and I don't know sort of where you guys have landed on this, but I know that I've worked with adjustable bag rider. And some of the stuff on here looks very similar, but you guys have an adjustable bag rider. You have adjustable cheek piece. You have adjustable butts. You guys have 90-degree. You have thumb shelves, like those sort of things. Can you talk a bit about why you guys did this or how you did it? Why these things are important for shooters?
Yes, of course. Um, Basically, we've been observing shooters for years at a very large number of competitions, matches, right? And I really like to observe, and I don't compete. I don't shoot competitively, so I don't get distracted when I'm there. I'm just looking at shooters,
Mm,
and I'm really trying to understand what they're going through and what they're trying to achieve and what's getting in the way and what's taking them longer and what's not really giving them what they need anyway, no matter how hard they fight it. And I bring all of that home and then I talk to the team about it. And of course, I get corrected as I should be often, but it doesn't matter because we spark a conversation, which is the valuable part. Then everybody starts interacting. And that's when it gets interesting because everybody contributes in. And then another thing that we do or that we're blessed with really is fairly large network of friends slash shooters, shooters slash friends. Some of them come first than the other, and they cooperated a lot, many of them. Getting their feedback during the development process was really, really valuable. There is another name that I like to mention, Mike Collins. He helped us a lot. He's a heck of a shooter and an easy to work with guy. And he provided a lot of feedback. There are many other people. I should have not named anything because now I'm going to get in trouble with all of the other guys that I should be naming. So I'm going to keep my mouth shut. Scratch that Mike Collins thing. I never said Mike Collins, okay? Never.
mm,
So that's the in a compressed format. That's the way it goes.
mhm,
We observe, come home, discuss, sketch out. Okay, I skipped a step in the process. We 3D print a lot.
mm.
We 3D print everything, and I mean everything. That I should have been better prepared. Anyway, doesn't matter. Trust me.
You probably have like a million things 3D printed, just not right near you, huh?
Here is you can tell by the weight. This is plastic.
Mm,
This is metal.
mhm,
I think we need to print these guys in 3 sections because they don't fit in our 3D printer.
mhm,
But and we do the same for the rest of the components, of course, like buttstock and everything that goes on it. We really put things together here and test them. This is the base of the Unimount base for the ELR BipodeXt. You can tell by the weight, this is plastic. Uh, and often we send plastic things to our friends, shooters, for them to feed their gear with and
mhm.
get behind the gun and play with it and see if it's really what it needs to be. And, you know, a good number of times we're right on, and a good number of times we need to go back to a drawing board and adjust fire, right? Move this, move that, raise this, lower this other thing. But that's the process, basically.
And for you, Trent, can you talk about some of the rear end features and, you know, how do you like them? How do they feel? How do they work?
Yeah, some of my favorite things about the back end of the chassis is it's completely toolless to adjust any part of it. So if I'm at a match, where we're shooting a little bit differently, or the ground is we're shooting downhill more, and I want to adjust the back part of it up to be up a little bit higher on my shoulder rest, I'll just quickly, no tools, don't have to run in my range bag, just quickly adjust it. My cheek riser, if I want to move it up and down, I can do it whenever I want. And then the bag rider on the bottom, super smooth. And kind of hinting at what Daniel said feedback wise, I remember we had multiple conversations on what what is the pitch of thread we want for that. How fast, how slow do you want that to move when you spin that wheel? And that's a lot of the feedback we got from shooters was going over things like that of how do you want this chassis to adjust and move? What are you using it with? Um, yeah, and it's super simple, and you can. One of the cool things about the back end of the chassis is like the cheek riser and the bottom foot. There's different lengths that we offer. So if you want a longer sled foot, or if you want a taller cheek riser piece that adjusts and you want extra adjustment, you just get the taller one. So it's really easy to make fit. You can make that chassis fit every shooter confidently.
Yeah, I love that. I was just talking to somebody and they were talking about how they ordered the wrong ring height and they didn't realize it. And they, once they put it on, they didn't have any adjustability and they couldn't, they had to order or buy all brand new rings. So
Mm-hmm.
those sort of things are a nice addition, I think, to shooters. And we've gotten so used to being a lot more comfortable behind our rifle systems, right? With all the adjustability and things like that. And so you guys have that locked in. I saw on the website on one of the photos that you guys have a flat thumb shelf. Are you running that on your system?
Yep.
Yes.
Y-
Mm-hmm.
Go. You know what, Trent? I'm sensing that Mac wanted more details. Maybe we're not. You want me to take a minute and a half to talk about the bot stock features more
Yeah,
than that?
sure.
mhm.
Yeah.
All right, adjustability. Turns out not all adjustability is created equal.
Mm.
You want your foot to have a fine adjustment, but you want your chickpeas to move a little faster. You don't really need to be that precise. And the bad path, and this is not me dictating, this is listening to shooters, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yet the bad path can adjust a lot faster. So what happens? We have three different speeds in our bot stock. The foot has what is called in the ACME world, ACME world, as a one-to-one speed, meaning one complete circle of the thumb wheel at 360-degree turn adjusts the height exactly 100 thousandths of an inch.
Mm-hmm.
And we fitted the thumb wheel with detents that are audible and tactical. And we put 20 detents on a wheel that moves the foot 100,000. So now, for every click that you feel on it, you know that you're raising or lowering your foot 5 thousandths of an inch times 20, 100,000, right? It may or not be of help, but most people claim it gives them a frame of reference.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, rather than being 100% blind right here, at least now I know that when I am operating that foot, every click I hear, I just raised or lowered again 5 thousandths of an inch back here at the foot.
Mm-hmm.
It is better to have a frame of reference than no frame of reference at all.
Mhm.
The foot adjusts 1 inch. Now the chickpeas, that's a 2-to-1 speed, meaning for every turn of the thumb wheel, the chickpeas will rise or lower 200 thousandths of an inch. And it also has the audible clickable feature in it. When it comes to a chickpeas, probably not much use for it, but it helps us keep the whole system tight because it's spring loaded. But the chickpeas adjust a total of 2 inches up and down. And we make different chickpeas height. So if for whatever reason that 2 inch is not enough for you, you take out the 1 inch standard chickpeas and replace it with the 1.5 inch. And if you happen to be one of these guys that are shooting shoulder cannons, and your scope base is this tall, we make a 2-inch tall chickpea. So now you have 2 inches of adjustment and 2 inches of chickpeas. Now you have 4 inches that you can adjust. And to wrap it up, the bat path, that has a 4-to-1 speed. So for every turn of that wheel here, the bat path will go in and out, or out, in or out, 400 thousandths, almost half inch. It also has 2 inches of adjustability. So it's really quick to get almost all of the 2 inches in or all of the 2 inches out. Because most guys don't need 1,000 of an inch adjustment on the bat pad, right? As soon as they're comfortable, they're finding themselves comfortable behind the gun. They just turn an extra knob on top to lock it. And as he said, as Trent said, it's all toolless. That was our goal from day one, to let the shooter adjust this thing on the flight without needing any tools. Those were like our maxims during design. And seems like we accomplished it.
Yeah, like I was saying, I mean, if you look at it and you look at it, you're like, there's a lot of adjustability on this thing. There's a lot of reach you can get on it. So yeah, I appreciate you explaining that a little bit more. Sort of back to the thumb shelf that's on there, right? That grip, the adjustable grip. I run one of those on my current rifles, and I love it. I think the positioning's all right. I think that the thumb shelf is the correct positioning. I'd love to sort of hear your opinion on this because you are running one, right, Trent?
Yes, and that's on the. I'm running the Mako chassis and the Baby Orca chassis, and both of them have the thumb shelf. And I've experimented with all the different angles and sizes of them to figure out which one I like, and it really helps. Yes, my thumb shelf, then it also makes my trigger finger placement so
Mm-hmm.
much more consistent every time. Just when you add all these features into one product, it's amazing on what all the little details and have all been put together on what you can accomplish with it.
Yeah, that system in itself, right? Again, there's a lot of stuff that I saw, and I'm like, I know that works. I know this is cool, like, or whatever. And then that you're right. The way it's designed, first off, I've never liked the way where your thumb sits up against a thumb shelf, how they have on traditional PRS rigs. A lot of that comes from F class and bench shooting and the way that your hand plays a role in pressure on your rifle, right? So to me, the flat thumb shelf made a ton of sense, being able to sit directly on it. Also, it puts your hand in a very comfortable ergonomic position to which you feel like it would be for shooting. And this is really great for brand new shooters who don't really know what to do, right? They're like, you have to teach them, like, well, this is where the trigger needs to set. This is the sort of pressure. Keep a 90-degree. This is how you keep your hand on, right? A lot of things that people don't fully grasp that, like, we're trying to bring new shooters in the space. This system helps, right? So the fact that your finger comes around it, it puts it in the right position. The fact that your thumb sits on top of it, it allows it to come and track directly back is another innovative and great thing to see on a system like this, and to see someone like yourself using it and implementing it and doing well.
In our opinion, in my opinion, it is the best pistol grip in the market for this discipline, of course, for this discipline. And I said, that's it. That's what we're going to ship the Orcas with. These are the best pistol grips by far I've ever put my hands on. So are they the cheapest? No, hell, of course not. They're not the cheapest, but they're the best. So there you go, Orca. You got paired up with the best pistol grip. Thanks to our friend Dave, Long Shot Precision, great guy, phenomenal product. All of his products are really good. Pistol grip is the one we use, and no plans whatsoever to ship it with any other ones.
Yeah, they are really nice, and everybody is no secret to anybody. I'm a huge MDT fan, and they make really great things. But I will say that I switched out their. I think I tried out three different grips there, and all of them went away for this one grip. It is really just something interesting. So very cool stuff on there. So we're in 2024, and you guys are making your own chassis now. Do you guys launch the Orca, the baby Orca, and the Mako like all within a couple months of each other, or all at the same time?
Pretty much all at the same time. The heavy lifting, so to speak, was the design for all the
Mm-hmm.
different inlets. Well, first the concept design for the three chassis sizes: small, medium, and large, as we call them.
Mm-hmm.
Once that was buttoned up, now it was time to work on the inlet. And that's when it got really interesting and time consuming.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we really realized that we had to 3D print. There is, I mean, things always look great on the computer screen till you make them.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when things change, right? Maybe they don't fit as well as they did fit in the
Mm-hmm.
computer screen. Or maybe they fit, but they don't feel as good as you thought they will feel when you were looking at them on the computer screen. So, yeah, of course, we had some models that we released first, but then a whole bunch of other models were released pretty much at the same time. And of course, we focus on the most popular action makers out there. Anytime we walk outside of the Remington 700 footprint, like we make we make a chassis for everything the Bat Machine produces.
Mm-hmm.
We make a chassis for everything the Pierce engineering produces. Uh, we make them for the Terminus, Titan. We make chassis for actions that are top shelf actions, really.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there aren't that many chassis makers I don't see. Maybe I'm missing something, but I don't see a lot of chassis makers trying to service that segment of the public,
Mm-hmm.
which is a segment that we focus on. We believe that the ELR sport is going to keep growing the way it has been growing. I've been witnessing the growth for the last 7, 8 years personally, and it's like unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
It went what, tenfold on the last 8 years, maybe more than tenfold. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm just keeping track of the United States, right? So, but our friends on the other side of the pond, they tell us that in spite of how difficult it is for them to pursue this sport in Europe because of regulations and things, it is still growing over there substantially. And I think this sport will keep growing. It only keeps getting more and more interesting. So, yeah, we have a good chunk of our focus on ELR,
Mm-hmm.
but we are working on other chassis.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I have the opportunity to talk to a lot of companies around the world, and that is a the fact that ELR has been growing, but the idea that it's going to continue to grow more and more is coming up more and more in conversations I'm having, and I'm starting to see companies put their R&D into that. That's where they're looking. So I think you guys are spot on with that. Not only that, like you have people like Trent who are starting to put stuff out online so you can see it, right? I mean, for a long time that was sort of the harder thing is like what even is it? Where is it? How do you find it? That sort of stuff. A lot of that stuff I'm still learning. Trent's still helping with, but um, yeah, that stuff is getting a lot more prevalent, and I think it will continue to grow. And I think there's a misconception on the cost as well. Now, obviously, the rounds are more expensive, but the rifle builds themselves are not that far dissimilar from a high end PRS build, a higher end bench rest or F class. They're all very, very similar in cost. And I think that sort of detoured people for a very long time too. But now that the cost of chassis have become so much more similar, of actions, all of this stuff, it seems to have lined a little bit more. And if you're looking to do a build, this I think your guys' system, particularly for ELR, is a really interesting system to consider. And if you have questions, you got Trent over here. He loves it when people call him. He says, "Call me at 3 a.m. I love it. It's the best. I love to talk about this." So I think there's a lot of opportunity there. Before we jump off, Trent, anything sort of else about this as a competitor that you sort of want to touch on, and sort of give some light to this product for people that are maybe potentially in the market for one?
Yeah, one of my other favorite things about the chassis is, so say you're setting up on the ground and you need to level your system. With every other um, point right now, with every other bipod on it, you got to reach all the way up to the front of that, so all the way up to the bipod and get that locking lever. With a BipodeXt system or the Mako or any of the Orca chassis, all you have to do is reach up. You don't have to reach all the way up to the front. You reach this lever right here, open it up. You can level the system all the way right back here next to you, not all the way up there. It's super quick. You can flip this around for if you want it on the left or the right hand side. You just loosen it up. Super easy, because one of the most important things about long range shooting is being level when you shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so much easier, and especially for a lot of people, you don't have to get up and crawl up to reach that bipod. Where our systems are so long, it makes it super convenient to have that locking lever right there. Another cool thing about the chassis is I'm a left-handed shooter, but I have tons of right-handed actions, but I have left-handed ones as well. Every chassis is ambidextrous. It's one screw, and you change the grip out if you want. One screw, and you can move it from being a left-handed to right-handed chassis. You don't have to go out and buy a whole special different chassis for your left-handed actions. And I take mine at barreled actions in and out of mine all the time. Mine are all Remington 700 based. I can take, for fun, I'll take my hunting rifle and drop it in this chassis and see how far I can shoot it, just to really
Mm-hmm.
push how accurate I can get every rifle system. So that's one of part of my favorite things. And the bottom of it, you can put a pick rail or an Arca rail for if you have a lighter weight. Say you put on your hunting rifle, you can mount it to a tripod if you really want for
Mm-hmm.
show it off. For the Arca rail on the bottom, you can put your chronograph. Get one of the rails to attach a chronograph or camera, or one of the like the MDT laser levels or light levels. There's all sorts of attachment points on this. It makes it really convenient. Or you can get a bridge that goes on the front. So say you have a coyote hunter who wants to run night vision. We make a bridge that goes on the front fore end of the chassis, so you can put that on there. Or what ELR shooters use it for is for our prisms and wedges. So when we shoot really far, so there's a lot of accessories and modularity, things you can put on this chassis to make it fit to whatever discipline or whatever your intended purpose for that rifle is. Oh, and the fore end of it, one of my favorite things is, you don't say you have a Arca or a pick bipod. You have both, and you want to switch between them. One side of it, Arca, flip it over, it's Picatinny right here, plus Picatinny mounts here. So it's really whatever bipod you have, you can put on it. We have adapters that you can put your Harris style bipods on. So whatever equipment you have, you can pretty well find a way to make it work with this chassis as well. It's really easy to use, and you can make it fit exactly how you want it to.
It's awesome. And Daniel, before we jump off, I just wanted to say if there was anything else you sort of wanted people to know about the product, about the company, even yourself, this would be a great time to sort of wrap it all up and put a bow on it.
Just a couple of things. Maybe some guys will go, "Oh, I can use that."
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm holding this part right here. Let me
Yep.
see if I can get. Okay, can you tell this piece is stainless steel?
Yeah.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but the rest of the latch, the magazine latch, is aluminum.
Mm-hmm.
That piece of stainless steel is adjustable, through a drive screw that is hidden back here. So with this, we adjust the magazine latch. No two magazine latches are created equal, right? I have some plastic ones right here, and I have some metal ones, different manufacturers. And I have had to adjust this thing by as much as 100 thousandths of an inch to make the magazine engage properly. So now, if you buy a repeater from us, pretty much doesn't matter which magazine you are running, you'll be able to adjust this height by operating that little set screw that is hidden there. When you have it where you want it, you see there are a little hole in there, that's where you secure it with the same Allen key. Another feature that I don't have right here, I'm not really very well prepared for this podcast, but let me try to do the best I can. If this were a long action chassis, and not only for Remingtons, but for other guns of the same size as well, we have a little spacer that is installed here on the front. It ships standard with all of our long action magazines. That spacer makes out the eighth of an inch difference between the standard long length magazine and the CIP extra long length magazine. So if you have more than one barrel action on your Remington 700 repeater platform, and one is CIP and the other one is not, you can run them both on the same chassis. It takes one screw to install that little spacer, and now you're good with the standard length magazine. You want to run your CIP barrel action, just take out that one screw and that spacer, you're good to go. I feel that when we were talking about the buttstock, I did not mention that the cheek piece is also adjustable fore and aft, 2 inches. And same thing with the bat pad is adjustable not only fore and aft, but up and down. And the bat pad really adjusts up and down a lot, over 4 inches.
Oh, wow.
So it really has a lot of adjustability. The standard length of pull covered is 13.5 to 15.5 inches. That takes care of most people on planet Earth, unless you are Baron Trump, right? And then you need an extra space. Let's see, what else? We ship them with a finish that we do here in house. It's called oil, hand wrapped oil. We think it turns out gorgeous. It's non-sticky. The moment you mention oil, people go, "Is it sticky?" No, it's not. It's not to the point that seemingly does not even pick up fingerprints. I'm sure the fingerprints are there, but they're hard to see with the naked eye. And that is the standard surface finish. Cerakote is available. It adds money. It adds a bit of wait time, but it's available pretty much on any. Okay, we offer 5 standard colors, and for an additional price, they can have any color they wish out of the H series of Cerakote. So, I don't know, Trent, am I forgetting to mention something worth mentioning?
I don't think so. And, we're pretty fast on getting the chassis out for the most part. You keep a pretty good stock on hand. And if we don't have it, we'll get it for you. So
It is our goal to have them all in stock. We hear from customers how they sometimes have very long wait leads, which we understand. We understand why there are waiting leads, but we're trying our best to not have that frustration experience on our side. So, regardless of how soon we'll get there, our goal is to have the most popular anyway, always in stock.
I love that. Before we jump off, Trent, you want to, if anybody wants to reach out to you about these products, can you tell them your social media and the website they can go look at?
Yeah. So first off, you can always go to the Accuracy Solutions website, email. There's an email on there. Make sure to sign up for the newsletter. Help you save some money as well. And I'm always open. People can hit me up on Facebook or my Instagram, Southpaw Outdoorsman or Southpaw_outdoorsman. You can find me on there. You message me any sorts of questions, anything, not just about our chassis, anything ELR. I'm here to help support the community and help everybody grow. And always feel free to email us, and yeah, we'll answer any questions as soon as we can. We all kind of try to help pitch in and make sure everybody's questions are answered as soon as possible.
We
Absolutely. Well,
welcome. I'm sorry,
nope,
Mike.
go
Let
ahead.
me mention this. I'm an old guy, so I'm old school. We welcome phone calls.
Mm-hmm.
Your audience has a question. Don't hesitate, guys. This is 714-988-7985. Call us. Ask us your questions. Don't be sitting there wondering, well, maybe it's no need. We're a phone call away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that. If you're not too afraid to pick up the phone, guys, make those phone calls, right? I really appreciate both of you guys being on. And for those of you guys listening, if you want to see one of these in person, well, here's going to be your chance, because we are going to be building a custom built rifle. We're going to be building it on the Mako chassis. I will be heading out in just a few days over to the UK. We'll be filming the World Rimfire Championship, and then a couple weeks later, the European F-Class Championships. Then we're flying on back. We're here, and we start the build. So there's going to be a lot of content coming out around these products. You guys are going to be able to see a lot of education around it, a lot of use, and as you guys should know, we're going to be putting these out in the field for you guys to be testing out. So a lot of opportunity around that. But I am not the expert on these yet. So make sure you're reaching out to them. They can answer all your guys' questions. Make sure you guys go like, comment, and share. It goes a long way to growing this community. And if you have a chance, get out to the range, take a shot, and I will see you guys next time.